What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I am a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for waiting until Monday for the weekly this week. Thank you for going to Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Apple Music, wherever you like to get your music out, and checking out the new music. I got new music out. It's called Thank You. I'm checking out the old music. There's a bunch of old music out on there at this point. Thank you for listening to that, putting it on a playlist, listening to it another time. I super appreciate all that. Thank you for going to zambonifunk.com/store, where you can get a sweatshirt like this one, where you can get a t-shirt, you can get a tote bag, where you can get a reading, you can get a 10-minute reading with me, the same kind of format. Well, I'll talk about your chart in this for about 10 minutes, or maybe you want to get a Zoom reading where we can talk back and forth for a little while. You can do all that at zambonifunk.com. There's so much going on out here. I got a podcast you can check out again and again. There's so many things. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, thank you. Shout out to you if you went to the Plant Cunning Conference. That's one of the reasons why I'm a little late this week, is because I went to the Plant Cunning Conference. I spoke there, had a lovely time. If you were there, you know who you are. Thank you so much for being there and helping to support me and the fam out there in upstate New York. It's been a lovely time. I've had a great time out here. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week, we've got the main thing we've got going on is Virgo stuff. So we got Mercury there in Virgo. Mercury rules Virgo. Mercury is exalted in Virgo. Mercury is also retrograde. So this means like very Mercury, but also retrograde Mercury, right? We can think about, so it looks very classic. Classic Mercury retrograde things include miscommunications, misunderstandings, like wires getting crossed, things not being super intelligible. It looks like confusion. It looks like, Virgo really likes to sort things into the little boxes and this sort of stuff. It looks like things falling out of those boxes, maybe being sorted into the wrong box in the first place, and then maybe contaminating the things that are in there or something like this, right? So this is very classic Mercury retrograde sort of stuff, and I would expect these kinds of things to go on a lot. Make sure and check and recheck and double check another time that your project saved, or that you've got it stored the way that you want to. This is a real good time to drop your phone in the toilet or some shit like that, right? So this is a very good time to just make sure that all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed, you know what I mean? Like all those little things. There's so many things that can slip through the cracks. It's very possible that this kind of thing will happen. So it's a good time to be aware of that. One of the things that I've been talking about with this whole situation here, because Mercury retrograde is opposite to Saturn in Pisces. And so Saturn's job is to sort of like say no to things, to put up a boundary, to put up an obstacle, slow things down in some kind of way. So there's that, and then also Neptune in Pisces as well. And so and especially as the sun keeps moving forward in Virgo, then that's getting closer and closer to an opposition to Neptune, who's at the end of Pisces. So Neptune's job is to confuse things, to make things a little weird and get into the dreamy imaginal space and this kind of stuff, right? That is literally opposed to the Virgo stuff, which wants to sort things and make sure that all the little details are happening and this sort of stuff, right? So it's making those kinds of things extra difficult, putting obstacles in the way, and then kind of like eroding away the boundaries, so that like all of the little bits of intelligible information that you were trying to put together just become kind of soupy, right? So there's plenty of difficulty in that. We can notice that Venus has started to move forward at this point and is going to make a little square to Jupiter in Taurus. That's cute. We love to see that. That looks like it feels a little bit better. This was a pretty rough Venus retrograde for a lot of folks. That deep underworld journey, the feeling of my heart hurts because it didn't work, or is this actually my friend or my lover or whatever, and then maybe it's not, and that hurts, and this kind of thing, right? So this Venus retrograde time has been a little rough from that angle, but to see this Venus now moving forward and making this square to Jupiter, this looks a little cute, right? We like to have this kind of feeling around. And that feels a little bit like reverie or enjoyment in some kind of way. But it still doesn't necessarily look like an ability to move forward, to make progress, to act on whatever it is that we have learned through that time. So sometimes when you go through the deep underworld journey, then things are revealed to you, and then it's like, okay, well, now that I have this revelation, then I can take different actions, or I can move forward on that sort of situation, right? That's typically what happens after the direct station. We start moving forward and move forward in our lives as well. So Venus is moving forward. Mercury is not yet. Mercury is actually stationary this week. So Mercury is going to be hanging out at 8 degrees of Virgo basically all week. We're going to see as Mercury is stationary there. Hold on a second. I'm just going to pause this. This right here is a big Mercury retrograde vibe. I am traveling, I'm out, I'm not in my normal place, and so I don't really know where to put my body, and it seems like I'm in someone else's space right now. I'm like in a little parking lot, and there's traffic going back and forth and this kind of thing, making it difficult for me to make the content that I usually make. That is a Mercury retrograde vibe. It is that kind of situation that we're dealing with this week, especially seeing this Mercury who is retrograde for most of the week, but then also stationary, not moving very much. So Mercury's job, no matter what we're doing, if we're going back or forward, it's Mercury's job to move. It's Mercury's job to transport, to transact, to get in between this and that place, right? So to see a stationary Mercury is often a time where that sort of transacting process can come to a halt or can be interrupted or something like this. So this right here, this is very big, like form reflecting content, right? So like this is a whole vibe in a situation here, right? So one of the things that I've been thinking with is this idea of like confusion around like having maybe too much information or something like that, right? We're moving into the era of the deep fake, and in the age of information, then everything is information, and then like what even does that mean? It can get all super confusing, right? And then one of my favorite teachers is Bayo Komolafe, and one of the things that he says is what do we do when doing is fraught, right? And this is especially interesting this week because Mars is in Libra, right? Mars is the planet of action and doing, and wants to handle the business and wants to do the stuff, right? And to see Mars in Libra, Libra is a Venus sign, which is as far away from home as possible for Mars. Mars rules Aries, which is opposite to Libra. And so this is like Mars in a place where Mars doesn't really know how to do the Mars thing. Maybe it's maybe it feels like it's not appropriate or not correct or right, or doesn't feel right in some kind of way to move, to try to make some kind of action happen, right? So this is especially going on while there's like big confusion energy, like I don't even really know what's out here and this sort of thing, right? So there's a feeling here of like, even though, so it doesn't seem like it's time to move yet. It doesn't seem like it's time. Mercury's not moving forward. Venus is, and that's cute, and it can feel nice and this kind of thing, but Mercury's not. Mars is moving forward, but is like in this kind of position where it's like not super decisive and kind of like worried about how it looks and how other people might feel about it and this kind of thing, and maybe we should, right? So there's like a whole situation going on here. So this to me feels like a good time to lean into that confusion, to lean into that sense of like, maybe we don't know, right? Maybe doing is fraught in some kind of way. It's this situation where it's like, you try to like, I don't know, burn down the capitalist empire or something like that, right? And then it turns out that you're implicated in, like when you're like trying to buy gasoline to set shit on fire, then you're like implicated in the capitalist system, right? So it's like doing is very fraught at every point. And so if that's true, then maybe this isn't a time to super try to do all the things, right? Maybe it's time to return to first principles in some way. Maybe that's a good way to think with this Mercury retrograde, is to like take a step back, and to look back and look at the very ground, right? Virgo's in Earth sign, so look at the very bottom piece of it and be like, okay, what are my first principles here? How do I make, so it's not a question of like, what is the right thing to do, but rather, what is the method by which I can determine what the right thing to do is, right? So this isn't necessarily the week of determining what the right thing is to do, although plenty of thought will go into that. But maybe this is a moment to be sure that my method of arriving at a decision is sound, so that when it comes time to actually move forward, then we'll be able to do that. Thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Zamboni